And welcome again. Hello, folks. Welcome again to another rendition of No Filter Sports. I'm your host, Brian 3SL, and with me, of course, is the lovely Miss. Oh, this way. The lovely Miss Kiki. How are you doing, my lady?
Hello, I'm doing super well. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Actually, I'm doing highly well, because we're going to talk about something that, mind you, it's based off the taping. It's been 3 weeks since the beat down of a lifetime. We can't see the Kansas City Chiefs getting their ass whooped by the Eagles. We'll further discuss that. And but overall, baseball is coming back soon, which has been great. Actually, I've been watching a little bit of the World Baseball Classic qualifiers. Some very interesting games that are on YouTube. Yes, it's free on YouTube. You don't have to have MLB TV to watch them. So you can support your countries there.
Okay.
Um, Actually, surprisingly, I've seen one of those games. The Nicaraguans, who swept into won their qualifying matches, all three games.
Mhm.
And the first two games, though, they were like towards the last at bat. And the funny thing is, they were the home team each time. So it was kind of like, and they only allowed to like play three. They have three games, and seeing Nicaragua being the home team twice out of them, it's kind of like okay, keep there. But all in all, it was actually an interesting round. So, but uh, before we bring in our guests, they further along with the baseball classic qualifiers. Right now, it's China, China and Germany were playing,
Okay.
and as well as Brazil, and I forgot the other team that's going to be qualifying in this weeks of games. So for anyone's interested, check it on YouTube. But anyway, before she drops dead in her computer, we're going to bring in our guest. She is a friend of the family. You know, she used to be. We all used to be on Rip Radio together. Now she's ventured on her own, but she's still 1/3 of Through the Hard Way. Miss True, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Round of applause. How y'all
Hey,
doing? How y'all
hey,
doing?
welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Happy to be. I think it's my first time on your show, Brian.
Yes. We've done other shows before. I mean, back in the day, I had my game show and all that stuff. So,
and we are still the reigning champions. If I'm, just made.
Yeah, you beat up the 420 guys very well.
We did. No one else has beat us since. So
yes,
we did.
So, but Drew, since you are new here, what are your sports qualifications? I believe you support certain teams. So, what are your favorite teams to go rah rah for?
So I am a Jersey girl, born and raised in New Jersey. So all things up north. And now, although I am a Jersey girl, when I was growing up, Jersey teams weren't hot, right? So the Nets were not hot. So I grew up a Knicks fan. I grew up a Giants fan. I grew up a Rangers fan. And I grew up a Yankees fan. So yes, although I do hail from New Jersey, we grew up on all New York sports because it was just what was happening at the time of me growing up.
Right. That's similar to my story.
Yeah. Are you a Giants fan?
No. I'm from Michigan, but I'm a Dallas fan.
Oh.
Yes.
Same thing.
Same thing, different story.
All right.
If you know, you know.
I understand, though. I do understand.
Yes. So, actually, since you both of you all are part representing the NFC East, let's get into it. Like I said earlier, I was happy. I was thrilled. It's been 3 weeks, and I'm still like, thank the Lord, Kansas City Chiefs did not three-peat. We start off with our guests first. True, how did you feel about Super Bowl?
So I honestly, I really had no stake in the game, right? Like the Giants suck this year. So I really did not care either way. My son is an Eagles fan. So of course, the son's happy, I'm happy. So, we were rooting for the Eagles just because of, him being an Eagles fan. We're in a house divided. My dad's a Steelers fan. My daughter's a Ravens fan, so it's a lot happening over here. But with him being an Eagles fan, and I took into an Eagles game at the Eagle Stadium, his first time ever being there. So it's a little sentimental. So I was very happy that the Eagles won. I like Hurts, black quarterback. So we always want to see them do great. But yeah, so I mean, other than the fact that, by proxy with my son, I'm happy they won. I can live with it for now. Till we come back.
The rivalry in those teams you named in your household, I can imagine what it's like. The Steelers and Ravens, and then Eagles and Giants. Wow.
Yes. And every time, especially because our year was not great, we played the Eagles. I had to hear his mouth. Like he would not let me be peaceful the entire day and days after. So yeah.
I can relate.
Okay. Miss Kiki, how did you feel about the Super Bowl?
I've been saying this throughout the season that I don't want to say it was rigged, but I think it was favored more so for them to win. And this time they couldn't do it because they had done so many favors throughout the season that the favors had ran out. And the people were onto them. So what happened is what I believe was supposed to happen. I believe I really wish both teams had lost, for real. That's how much I cared. But the fact that black quarterback, the fact that someone else gets to get another ring. I don't hate the Eagles. They earned it. If they had allowed KC to win, it would have been so blatant. Like the Eagles stepped up, it was theirs. So I was amazed. I was happy. I was satisfied. I enjoyed it, and I celebrated with those, even though it pained me to do so because they're in my division, and that's blasphemous. I still did it.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's put this. After when the Eagles went up 17-0, I was like, "Oh, continue this, keep going," and it is just, and that pick six was the seal dealer. I just felt like that was that you knew for well they were done.
Mm-hmm.
Kelsey was trying to do pull his BS again. The Eagles were like, nope, we ain't having this. No, go back to your huddle. And you kind of tell that Travis Kelsey was kind of acting like a spoiled child. When it's like, I want the ball. What's going on? Let's get, all that stuff. And I've said this many, many times. I said this to you, Kiki. I said this on prior shows. Patrick Mahomes is not a Super Bowl quarterback. He's a good regular season quarterback. He'll be special, dynamic, and whatever. But when it comes to the Super Bowl, he has a weakness, and his weakness is if you get to him constantly, you will beat him. And it was showed in Super 55. The Eagles had him, and the Niners had him several times. But the thing was, they let off the gas. This time around, this Eagle defense realizes, no, we're not letting up. Period. And the funny thing is, they never blitzed. It was a 4-man front, and they could not stop them. And I was like, this is going to be good. A lot of defensive coordinators are going to take this, and throughout the rest of the league. And it's like, this is how we're going to beat them this time, because they can have all the speed demons all they want. Worthy was like, you can say was the MVP for the Chiefs in that because he scored the 2 touchdowns. But really, it's like, no, you get to Mahomes, he's done. So I was pleased, and the tackle he got when the quote unquote hands and all that stuff is like, oh, this is beautiful. Yeah, take it. This is flowers. So.
How dare you feel bad that the Eagles, the Chiefs won? How dare you feel bad that they didn't win? Shame on you.
We talked about this throughout the year. It's like, on your show, Real Talk, I talked to several other people. It's like, like you said earlier, it's like this was weirdly set up for the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl again. It just felt weird. Yeah. And when it came to the playoffs, I just said this: look, if my Ravens don't beat them, the next team in the AFC will do it. If they can't do it, whoever is the NFC champion needs to do it. And I was like, cool. And then Ravens couldn't get there, Bills couldn't do it, but the Eagles, it was like, yeah. It's like, just get over this hump. And I like to how it wasn't just Jalen Hurts. He Worthy was the MVP. I mean, everyone was mainly focusing on Saquon Barkley, but Barkley was pretty much stopped. But it's like, but you couldn't stop Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts he was running, he was throwing, he was doing everything. Just like, I want this title, and I like that. And I like how everyone knows that I'm a wrestling fan, and they understood this weird story that like you mentioned last show we had. Jalen Hurts, he lost the Super Bowl prior, and he ends up winning it. Oddly enough, there's a wrestler by the name of Cody Rhodes.
Yep.
He lost last year's WrestleMania, or pretty much 2 years ago. And going into the prior year's WrestleMania, he ends up winning it. And surprisingly enough, it was in Philly. so all in all, it's like, yes, it was a cool redemption story. But anyway, okay, before we leave this, anyone have any thoughts about Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show?
I'll let our guest speak.
So I'm glad. Well, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit because I'm glad that you brought up Saquon Barkley, and I did expect him to have a better performance than he did, especially because, you know, him being a former Giants fan, and I'm still a little butthurt that we let him go.
Yes.
So, you know, it was almost sad to see that they really didn't let him do what he does best. Like, let that man run. But I don't know. I don't know what was happening to where they really didn't turn him loose the way that I expected him to. So I was a little disappointed in that, but overall still glad that they won. But to answer your question, so the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl halftime show, mixed reviews, right? They had so many people saying, oh, it was boring. You know, I don't understand. And I think you have to come from a certain mental space to really fully see the picture that he painted, right? So, you know, between the symbolism and just all of the, you know, low-key things that he did throughout the performance, you know, performing in a jailhouse, you know, yard that a lot of people didn't realize that's what that was, right? Even in the beginning with the game, with the game controller, people didn't get it. Game over at the end, people didn't get it. There was so much packed into that. I'm like, I don't understand how people didn't love it. How people didn't love it. And then when you guys are done, I have a question because I have a small issue with the performance. Just a small one, but I'll wait. I'll hold my issue.
Okay.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Because we can. I want to hear it. No, Brian. Can she?
I don't want to take over.
No. I mean, if you whatever tidbit you
into, perfect. Yeah. Okay, so how did you guys feel about Serena's performance?
I did not know she was there until the next day.
Really? You didn't see
the
performance?
I saw the performance. I didn't know who that person was until the next day. I know SZA was there, but I didn't know it was Serena because the way the lighting was, because that was one of the takes that a lot of people was telling me. It's like production wise, visually, I understood, like you said, the game controller, the way everything was structured and set up and how everyone was dressed. I got all that. But the lighting, though, it was so dark, I couldn't tell who's who. And as big as Serena's hair was, I really didn't recognize her. I thought it was just some random dancer who's like, oh, okay. I didn't, if you put a name tag down there, I would say, oh, that was Serena. Okay, cool. I want to know who she was, but continue.
My opinion of her performance, I definitely understood because I watched a lot of her matches, and that particular time where she did that and they were disappointed, and I don't know if she got fined, if they got but they drug her for that. So to me, outside of the Drake thing, which is what people started, the narrative started from there, I stayed at that. I stayed at the Wimbledon thing. I stayed at that. I believe in my heart everyone is trying to make this whole Kendrick Lamar thing like front row stage to dissing his rival. I didn't look at it like that. And if that one dug into his skin, but I don't think that's what it was for. I think if it did it, boom, because hit dogs don't holler. But I don't think that was her purpose. I think in the direct way that he's addressing all of our issues, she was there to address hers as well, to the same people that he was talking to. That was my opinion.
Got it. Okay, so I'm a little on the fence, and we're talking the performance holistically, and that was a key point for a lot of people. A lot of people love the fact that Serena got to crip walk, on a Super Bowl stage, and and yes, going back to when she did it and she got fined and had to apologize and all of these things. But here's what a lot of people I don't think remember: her sister died in 2003.
Yes. Right.
Shot by somebody.
Right. She was shot by a Crip member. So a lot of people, from just people that I've spoken to, and they're like, wait a minute. So again, we look at things on a very different level, right? So I'm just like, so to me, I'm almost like, how do I support that, knowing that you're Crip walking and your sister was gunned down by a Crip member? Like, what are we missing here? So that's why for me, I'm kind of stuck at that. And I want to support what she did because I love her. I do. And I think that she is pivotal to young Black girls everywhere. I think what she has done in sports can never be undone or talked down upon or anything. That to me, I'm like, ooh, that might have been a poor judgment. That might not have been something that she thought about fully.
And I too heard those things spinning around at the water cooler, and I felt like, okay, this was a West Coast performance. This is a West Coast performer. This is a West Coast performance, and that is their go-go. Like that dance is their national whatever dance, and that's as far as I took it. Yes, I do know about the background of that, but I think that too is part of their culture. So I don't think it's something that people must necessarily hang on to. It's everyday. It was everyday practice during that time. Not saying that it didn't hurt or people weren't upset, but I don't think it held the bag down enough where she didn't represent the West Coast and then represent or dig at the Wimbledon people. So
do you think that there's anything else she could have done? Because I understand she's from Compton also. You know what I mean? So I get it. I get the connection. But do we think that there's something else that she could have done besides that?
Absolutely. But it was some nigga shit. It was some nigga shit done by some niggas. Excuse my French. So, yeah, because you can't, I can't tell you what you can't. I feel like everything that Kendrick Lamar did symbolistically made sense, right? It still was some nigga shit. Yeah. I happen to like nigga shit. So and here's
the thing, I can actually accept that, honestly. I can accept that response. Like, hey, I mean, it was what it was, and we did some nigga shit.
Yeah.
Okay, listen.
I can go with it. I was like,
yeah. All right. Well, again, I felt that the performance was, I was entertained.
Okay.
Yes, I was. Let's say this. If we compared his performance to the West Coast, performance,
with Snoop and all that.
I think Kendrick was a little bit better.
I really thought of you. I said, I know you abhorred. I knew it that you.
Yeah, I'm very picky about my performances. If it's not Rihanna, then I don't give a crap. But Kendrick was like, I was getting the messages. I was getting the symbolism. I was, seeing Samuel Jackson popping up as Uncle Sam and everything. So I was getting it. I was like, he's like, oh, this is some cerebral stuff. And it was like, and mind you, a lot of people was like, they just want to wait to hear, Not Like Us and whatever songs that, I was hoping for a Rihanna repop, because him and Loyalty, they sang that song together, but at least he sang it a little bit. So, and of course, SZA with the Black Panther theme. Cool. So all in all, I was entertained. So, and I got it. Everybody else who had issues, you have issues because you don't understand what the hell's going on. So anyway.
Oddly enough, all of you white folks got it. The Black people was the ones who, this is boring as shit. Oh my God, this is the worst performance. All the white people got it.
Yeah.
Oddly enough.
because they were outraged, like, how dare he, and all of that crazy nonsense. So I agree. I think it was very cerebral, and you do have to be in a certain space to understand what was really happening. But yeah, I was disappointed at us that we really didn't get that.
Well, it depends on which platform you're hearing, because I based off, you probably heard, Black Belt. I heard a lot more white folks having issues with it. So it's like, look, what do you want? You want to bring back, Paul McCartney was there. He could crip down and his wheelchair and sing a couple of Beatle tunes. But anyway, all right. Y'all heard? I want to quickly put this out there. Y'all heard a couple days ago. Deebo Samuels leaves the Niners and he gets picked up by the Commanders.
I'm freaking Washington.
Yes, the Commanders once again wins in free agency. But here's the thing. Here's my real question. Mind you, that happened. The combine's going on, and like I said, it's been 3 weeks. The season's been over. I'm done with football. Already NFL football. There's UFL coming in a few weeks, but I'm done with NFL football. Are you all done with NFL football for now, or do you feel like, hey, I'm give me more information. I need to know more about my Giants. Are they going to pick who they're going to pick as number one? Is Dallas going to finally get rid of Dak or whatever? Are you still hungry for more football?
Hungry, no. Invested, not really. And primarily because my plate is overflowing with other stuff. Am I somewhat paying attention? Yes, because I need to know what I need to do to prepare myself for next season. Am I about to get all excited, or am I going to watch like I watched this year? You know what I mean? So I'm not really out here watching stats and seeing, looking at combine scores, and no, I'm over it. Exactly. Right.
I'm both. I'm watching and I'm looking, and I called it a season already. My season is in the trash already. It's going out on Wednesday. It's going out with the trash. The season is over already for me. However, because I enjoy what I enjoy, and I have to statistically stay up on things, I have to look, and painstakingly so. I hate what I see. I'm not surprised at what I'm seeing. I'm not, because I've been with my team long enough to be top tier and to now suck. I kind of see how it goes, but I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed. I have nothing to look forward to, honestly. As far, I don't have two teams, so you should know. True. I don't have two teams. I'm from Michigan, so I support my home team. Stop it. I support my home team. So at any given time, when there's no light shining over here, I look elsewhere for lights. I'm always a supporter, though. I only rock Dallas gear. I only support them. No more monetarily until Jerry Jones has an unfortunate smelting accident. I'm not going to support them until he decides, or our higher power decides whatever is supposed to happen. Because we're not getting nowhere with this. We just he's watching us go down the toilet and he's smiling.
Oh, well, you're paying. Listen, I feel your pain. This is how I felt last year when they let Barkley go over a matter of $5 million. You really couldn't pay that man the additional $5 to keep him?
But with who and with what? You got rid of Daniel Jones. You really weren't building anything. And I mean,
don't get rid of what we have left, because now we really don't have anything. And then you let him go to the Eagles of all places.
Can you say that loud enough so anyone in Dallas's front office can hear you?
They just need to bring us in and let us do it.
For sure.
They need to have a fan day where the fans go in and run the franchise for a season.
At least
I would love to see that happen.
At least let me see the degree of difficulty it takes to fuck up a franchise.
Because I get right, it's not easy. I definitely understand that it is not easy. But what don't make sense to justify why it's presented as to be this hard.
I have one question for you. Who's your owner?
Not Dable. Well, Dable's the coach. Hold on, because I don't know.
Mora.
Huh?
Mora.
No, John Mara.
Speaking with her, I'm making a point here.
Mora.
Okay. Who's your GM?
2 seconds.
You have one, right?
Yeah, we do have one.
Okay. Who's your COO and CEO? You have one,
I
right?
definitely don't know them.
We have one. All of those positions are held by one person. He's 117 years old. I'm not a yeller. This is frustration and passion.
Yeah. As it
And
should be.
the thing of it is that the people that love him are allowing this. Like, that's okay. Go ahead, white man, because
I kind of understand. See, this is where I if you look at me, I'm like, I know what my team is doing. I know what the Ravens are doing. They're, Eric DaCosta, he's in Indianapolis. I know John Harbaugh is in Indianapolis. And it's like, oh, you're looking at guys to draft in April? Cool. My main focus now is the other team in Baltimore, the Baltimore Orioles. Baseball starting. Pitchers and catchers. Once my Ravens were out of the playoffs, it's like I literally just, all right, that season's done. It's time for getting ready for pitchers and catchers. Mind you, I still support, the Capitals. They're about to get in their playoff run, get out of this weird 3-game losing streak they got going. But keeping my eye on Ovi, and hopefully he'll break Wayne Gretzky's record. The Wizards are a piece of shit, but hey, whatever they look interesting is like, oh, okay. But if by fully investing into a particular team, my team right now I'm fully invested in is the Baltimore Orioles. I keep going, like the water coolers and all that stuff. Guys will still talk about football, and I'm just like, to me, I felt like this is where I'm leaning into two certain things. One, I'm happy with the fact that ESPN, I don't know if you're familiar with, ESPN and Major League Baseball are parting ways because of the fact that Major League Baseball, for two reasons. One, they're not getting properly covered when it comes to their product. And two, because of the fact like ESPN, how they see it is, since now Major League Baseball is now on Apple and Roku, and they pretty much, their finances on those two platforms are way lower than what ESPN is paying.
Mm-hmm.
ESPN didn't want to ESPN wanted to renegotiate, but then but the Major League Baseball is like, look, we've been with you for over 30 years, and for whatever reason, you're not getting the proper exposure, proper coverage that you guys claimed you did 20 years ago. Case in point, and I'll never forget this, 2012 season, whatever reason, Major League Baseball decided, not Major League Baseball, ESPN, they end up talking about how, the start of the season, this is just the first month of the season. The New York Yankees were like they normally do, start off slow, start off weak, and all that stuff. Everybody was talking about that, all their pundits and things of that nature. Not knowing or not forgetting the fact, like the 2011 defending champion St. Louis Cardinals had like about a dozen players injured, and most notably was Carpenter, Pujols. I mean, they was like guys that helped this team win their title. Didn't talk about them at all. You're mainly focused on Boston and New York all the time. You're not talking about the defending champions. Okay. Then when it comes time to during the season, you don't have anybody talking about it. You're constantly having NFL Live or NFL this, NFL that, and then again, NBA keeps popping up over and over again. The playoffs comes around. But again, Major League Baseball is about to come up and you barely talking about it. Do you feel that in our culture, we are so limited to only just talk about football and basketball because they are more easier to understand? Or do you feel that, based off of how a lot of people view baseball, it's not an interesting sport anymore to even talk about? Miss Tara, too.
And for me, that's what it is. It's a tale of old times, right? Think about high schools, right? And where funding is put. funding is always put the football first.
Mm.
Every other sport is subsequent, and you get whatever's left over. It's the same thing on the major scale. Nothing about that changes. And you think that it's because football is, you know, the most worldwide known sport, but it is the one that brings in the most money. And although I think now it's debatable because now soccer is bringing in a lot more money, creating a lot more buzz, that is becoming exciting. But football has always been number one because it's just been the biggest moneymaker. Your boosters, your colleges, everything is centered around football, and every other sport is subsequent. And I mean, I understand, you know, football is exciting. Football brings the people. So, you know, unfortunately, baseball, though it's deemed America's favorite pastime, there are a lot of people who just don't get into it. Because it's, you know, as much as I love baseball, you know, I've played softball for many, many, many years. I don't like watching it on television. If I'm not in the ballpark at the game, I'm not about to turn the TV on and watch it. Even though I love the game, it's just not as exciting as sitting at home watching football on television.
Okay. Ms. Kiki.
I don't think that about baseball. I think baseball has its lane, and there are people who don't deviate from that. And I think they're just as big as the ones that support NFL and NBA. I just feel like I am one of those in and out type of people because they play all year. I always get in where I fit in. So I think baseball has its people, and they're the highest paid players. So I think though if you look in the stadiums, like nothing's changing. You look at it, it's the same thing we go through, because we really think that football is like the is grandiose and it's the cat's meow. But some people who watch hockey would never, or some people who watch NBA, Major League Baseball could never. So it's just no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Oh, again, my main
Go
like
Tigers.
I've always had issues with ESPN and how they cover things. I didn't want them to bring back NHL hockey. I felt again, it's the same deal. It is about, they only focus on two sports. I really think their NBA coverage is even weak because of the fact that you only feature the elite teams with elite players constantly, which I felt like it's like, okay, this is getting boring. I know some of the teams that, you know, like trust and believe, you're not going to, as much as you want to see the Wizards on a midday on ESPN or TNT, but really it's kind of like, you know, it wouldn't be hurtful to not talk about them and wondering why are they that bad, and expose and again help show some of their talent that they're trying to put out there. I mean, I get it, but I do not want to see LeBron James for the 19th time in 3 weeks. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So I just view that fact, like when it comes to, even let's get into football, same deal. It's like if you saw the entire schedule of the Kansas City Chiefs, they were on pretty much at primetime television half the season. I felt like, are you freaking kidding? I know they're good and all, but it's like, what is the whole purpose of having 32 teams and you only want to show this like maybe a third of them or less than that? I just felt like there's something wrong here to not exposing everybody. And that's when Major League Baseball television came along, I was happy. It's like, cool. I watch that because they're going to focus on the teams I want to focus on, especially my Orioles during non-baseball season and baseball season. You know, because it's like, because ESPN ain't going to do it. So, and I think the key here thing is ESPN is competing with so many be outside, you know, the league itself and maybe some other sources, but really it's like they felt like it's like, oh, people will still tune into us because we're the Big E. You know, we're all sports, all entertainment. And we're going to keep talking about football all the time and basketball all the time. Of course, everyone will gravitate to that. But really, it's like, but when the season's over, what's there to talk about? I don't understand. There's nothing to talk about. I mean, unless, again, a big trade out of the blue, or, you know, someone retires, you know, a notable player retires. But anything else is kind of like, oh, this guy left. Okay. no one cares. So they dropped the player. Okay. So, but that's my opinion. So that's why we call it no filter. So,
but I think too that you got to factor in the shock value effect, right? It's almost like when you watch the reality shows for the drama.
mm-hmm.
So I know I agree with you. Nobody wants to see LeBron for the 56 millionth time, but the majority. See, the majority does. I mean, there's a high majority that no matter what else is going on, they will watch LeBron all night long. They will watch, as bad as Dallas is, no offense, but they still will watch Dallas all day long because it is still something about that, that team or what's happening, even though, they're not doing well, but people still tune in to watch them. People still want to talk about them. Kansas City, people are sick of them. There's a lot of people that still want to watch them.
That's very true. That's very true.
All right. Well, let's get back to your owners and your particular team, because the NFL report cards came out earlier this week, and it's very interesting because here's how they based everything off of. So the NFL Players Union, they pretty much, this has been recently, they put out this report and how they feel. They evaluate the teams that they play for, or pretty much the teams that they see. And they base off of who has the good coaching, good ownership, good food, meaning based off the concession stands, good travel, good weight room, and good treatment of family. So oddly enough, the team that had the best overall grade was the Miami Dolphins. They had A+ in coaching, ownership, food, travel, and weight room. And the treatment of family is a regular A, which I am surprised about the coaching. Travel seems very good. Ownership, I figure it's like since they are willing to pay top dollar to get them there. And the weight room is probably up to par with everything. So I can understand that. So I want to get to your particular team. So I'll start with mine. We have a B for coaching. This is for the Ravens folks. A for ownership. So B for food. Okay, nothing wrong with a good crab cake. A- for travel. B+ for the weight room. And the treatment of family, surprising, is a C+. So I'm kind of questioning about that. So we go to, and we're like 13th overall, so in that position. So let's go for that. What do you think for coaching?
What's probably the coach then or the coach now? Because I wouldn't know now. Yeah. Probably a C. Probably a C.
The players gave him an A. Yeah. Owner, what would you think?
They wouldn't dare a C. They wouldn't dare.
They gave him a B. Yeah.
Were they drinking? They drinking?
Food, they gave him a B+.
Food is good.
Travel, they gave a B-.
Really?
Yeah. Weight room, they gave him an A-.
Yes.
And they gave an A for treatment of family.
So they know something we don't know.
Yeah. So that's a total. So right now they're in 10th place.
Or AI took this test, whichever.
Yeah, probably. True. What do you think the Giants got for coaching?
Look, I pulled it up because I wanted to see before we even got there.
Did you?
I did.
Okay.
So I'm over here looking now like, okay. Yeah, so here's the thing. Well, from what I don't know, I mean, I have a B+ over here for coaching, for head coach. Okay. So I think Dable has been able to come in and make something out of nothing. Like he walked into a shit show. Let's keep it real. And he fought to keep Saquon. Again, I'm still butthurt, so you're gonna hear that a lot. So he fought to keep him, and he was met with opposition. So I think what he was able to accomplish in these last 2 years, I think he's done a good job. And if we give him what he needs, I believe he can really make a difference with the team. And the team loves him. you listen to the players talk about him and just how he responds to them and how he listens to them, the team loves him. So I get it.
Okay. Now ownership is ranked C+. You think it should be lower?
You let Saquon go for $5 million. And you let him go to the Eagles. And here's the thing: the boy made it very clear he wanted to stay a Giant.
Yes.
He did
Yes,
not
he did.
want to leave.
Correct.
You forced that man's hand, but you let DJ stay here for how many years, doing absolutely nothing? And I understand the backside of that nonsense. Also, ownership for me gets an F because you care about all the wrong things.
Okay.
Daniel Jones should have never got drafted, but I understand why. You know, he's a Manning protege. He trained with them, so he was already groomed to be in line to take over. So that's a whole nother story. Don't send me down that path. But then you also let Odell go, which is another. I'm still butthurt about that one, even though it's been years on years. So I have major issues with the ownership.
Okay. Okay. Boo is a B. Travel's B.
He's good at MetLife.
Yeah. Weight room is a B-, and C for treatment of family.
And what was the owner score?
Surprising enough, a C+.
F.
Yeah, CK, let me ask, what grade would you give Jerry Jones for this past season?
Me or
Yeah.
Kiki? Me?
No, Kiki.
Oh, okay.
What would you give Jerry Jones?
We can be F's together. It's okay.
Well, I don't really want to say that because we had bursts, we had glimpses. Mm-hmm. And if I do that, it will take away those glimpses. Still a C.
C. Okay.
Yeah, still a C.
All
he
right.
didn't fail all the way because we didn't tank all the way out. It could have been worse. I've seen Detroit go 0-16, so we didn't tank all the way.
All right. Well, here are some of there are teams that did get Fs. Actually, let me go to the lowest grade for each category. So for coaching, the lowest grade was a C, and it was for Chicago, Cleveland, and Jacksonville, which I'm kind of surprised for any of them. For ownership, the lowest grade was a D-, and it was for Carolina and Arizona.
Yeah.
The lowest grade for food is an F, and that's for Cincinnati.
Oh.
Which, like, what's wrong with spaghetti and chili?
Right.
Yeah, well, I'm shocked because they have good chili dogs. That's why I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. Travel, surprised enough, there's a thing called an F-, and it was for the Buffalo Bills. But for the actual F, there was the Eagles got an F, as well as New England.
Eagles,
yeah, for travel. The weight room, the worst. This is surprising. The worst weight rooms in the NFL are in New England and Arizona.
Oh, okay.
I wonder what criteria they're rating this. Like, what makes it bad?
Yeah, I'm kind of.
And was the question geared upon like traveling with the team, like as the team, or is it
because where they go and how they set everything up, and the travel team members coordinating everything, those things.
Okay.
And then the treatment of family, the worst of the worst is the Cincinnati Bengals with an F-, and adding another F is the Jacksonville Jaguars. So yeah, so they're teams who actually failed on those departments. So
I wanted to address something you said earlier. It just made me just thought of it when you were saying, which I did not agree with. Everyone wants to see LeBron 500 times, period. But when you were stating that no one wants to see the same people play prime time, I'm sorry to go back because I need a chance to speak on it. I can't. I don't want to agree with you because, well, I have to. Like some teams, I don't want to see all the time. Dallas being one, we should never be embarrassed. I mean, we should never play on prime time a lot because the next day this is not good, especially when we're not winning. But I feel like don't subject me to Carolina Panthers. Like, don't subject me to just don't do it. Don't subject me to just don't do it. I'm too bad. Like, I don't want to say Giants or Jets, but 'cause I like Aaron. And don't subject me to these things multiple times. Like, it is about the ratings. It is about it, and this is as contradictory as people say, like Dallas ain't nothing, whatever. We still bring views. People want to see how bad we lose or how bad we win or whatever.
But at the same
that's what it's about at the end of the day.
But at the same time, I felt like, okay, during a regular season, I just feel like if you're not doing that well, why are we seeing this in a primetime game? That's what, luckily with the NFL, we have the flex schedule. So, because mind you, the NFL is a week, one game a week type of thing, and we feel like it's like during my prime time, Sunday night prime time, when I would rather watch 60 minutes than seeing, Dallas versus some mediocre team anyway, because it's like, I'm done with Dallas. I don't support this team. And also it's like, I know for well, this game is not going to be interesting because based off of whatever their issues because that's what they're going to talk about. And I understand the fact that like in this modern era where it's like, look, you got 50 billion television channels, you got YouTube, you got whatever streaming stuff you want to do, and to look at and stuff like that. And Brady, you can just play video games and and stuff like that to not watch a boring ass game on television. I get that, and I understand, but still understanding the fact that, like, mind you, I can be a little old school and still want to say, hey, I want to, watch television, watch a team on, Sunday Night Football, and enjoy, at least a decent game. And surprisingly enough, the Amazon games, I kind of would agree with you. The fact is, like, look, you put on some shitty teams on Amazon, these first 2 years. And last year, it's like, okay, it's not with the sense of the fact of, the teams are bad. It's just, well, mind you, they were, but you kind of wonder, it's like, why are you putting these on? But then again, it's sort of like, okay, the teams finally got it together and started playing some games, making it look interesting and all that stuff. So, which I kind of agree. The fact is like, okay, these Thursday night games are kind of worth it now. But when it comes to not just football, but when it comes to the other sport, the daily sport, so to speak, I don't want to see LeBron. You don't know if he's going to play or not because or even Steph, because they'll probably take a night off and they'll try to explain it and all that stuff. I don't like the overanalyzing of everything before the game and during the game, and especially it's like trying to, I don't know most of these players half the time, because again, you're not building your sport if you keep showing us Steph and LeBron all the time, and you got to, it's like, who's the next generation coming up if we don't see them? That's how I feel.
I agree.
And I felt like it's like, I know, there's certain people we talk about from time to time. It's like, oh, you look at Edwards in Minnesota, he's going to be great. And it's like, well, I don't see him. I don't know who he is. I don't know what he does. Everyone raved about Zion Williams, thought he was the big thing, and next thing you know, all he does is get fat and sit on the bench half the time. I mean, to me, it's just like, okay, that's how I know him. I don't see him often in New Orleans because they don't put him on.
That's true.
It could be the fact that New Orleans has been bad, but at the same time, it's just like, look, I need to know who these upcoming guys are that everyone keeps praising about, and you don't say anything. So, I mean, you don't see anything. But anyway, that's my 2-bit. But
Randover.
All right, the last question I'm going to ask is these lovely ladies are on here. It is Women's History Month, and a lot has, sports history. Women has been dominating for not just forever, but I would say recently in the last 20 years. I mean, like you mentioned, True, about Serena and everything, what she's accomplished, and of course her sister, and you add in the fact of a lot of things have been recently with the
women's basketball,
birthing of women's soccer and women's basketball and stuff like that. Researching with women's basketball, of course. But my emphasis is this question because recently is this hitting close to home. Justin Tucker has fallen into the trap of getting in those massage parlors type of situations, just like Deshaun Watson. And the question is not really focused on him. It's focused pretty much on women in the sport of game, meaning the fact of being a trainer, being even a player, especially a player with the opposite, where you're competing with the opposite sex. There will be a question about dealing with trans players as well. But my main starting question is this: do you feel women in men's sports are in danger? Meaning the fact that are they putting themselves in danger into situations where they are not going to be properly protected at? True, I'll ask you with that, starting with that.
That is a loaded question, and this is opening a very big door for a very deep conversation. So I don't think they're putting themselves in danger, but I do think they may not be protected as well as they should be. It is a very sticky situation, right? Because you would hope that me as a professional coming in to do a professional service in your locker room, you're going to be just as professional with me, see me as a professional and treat me as such. We understand that that's not the way of the world. And we understand that women are overly objectified. So no matter how we show up, there still is a, thought of, oh, she's fine, or oh, she looks like this, or oh, she looks like that. And some men don't have or choose not to have the appropriate self-control to act accordingly in those situations. Good, bad, or indifferent, that is the reality. And as much as, like I said, we want people to be adults and act properly, and being a woman in that industry, you come into a situation where women were not believed when they did, file a complaint, or they had to go through so much just to file a complaint. And then, when you did, now you got to deal with, am I going to be, retaliated against because I said something? So I don't think that, women are protected in a way. Now, do we, I had this thought when that situation came up, like, okay, this is happening too often. What do we do to fix this, right? Is it a situation where we treat everybody like we're in school? So if I am a female therapist and I'm coming in to help you with injuries, do I need to have another person standing in the room just to ensure? Now, nothing about that player, because he may be respectful and he may not have any ill intentions, but to protect myself, do I now have to have a bodyguard everywhere I go? Because, but then on the flip side of this, because I'm so on the fence, that's why I said this is so loaded. On the flip side of this, Justin Tucker had 15, 16 women accuse him of inappropriateness, allegedly. So it also then begs me to say, do the players also need to have, security in the room when they go certain places to ensure that they're not being targeted? Because we've had, unfortunately, both things. We've had women and men making false allegations against, people. And we've had, these celebrities and athletes doing things that they shouldn't have. Mm-hmm. So it is such a very just gray, discombobulated, uncomfortable area. And I don't think that there is a clear-cut yes or no to any of this, because everybody acts of their own volition. Everybody chooses or not chooses to do something or not do something, depending on how they feel that day.
Yeah. Miss Kiki.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
You said a lot of what I agree with, so that's it.
It's tough. I get it. Like, it's one of those. There's no clear-cut answer to any of these questions.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, let me ask you this then, because the only thing I agree whatever Trump did was trying to separate transgender women competing in women's sports. I felt like because of the specific fact it's like the trans women's physiology is completely different than normal women. I've seen firsthand. I remember a mixed martial arts match, and the woman was facing a woman, and she got her butt whipped. because of the fact it's like, no, you're facing a dude. It's plain and simple. And mind you, I mean, like about going back to professional wrestling, they do train together. They do work out together. They do the same moves together. And I'm a fan of the WWE's Attitude Era. All women getting smashed through tables and getting hit and stuff like that. And I always had these odd discussions now with certain people, namely Doug Bennett on former host on here on the network, where he had issues with like Rhea Ripley can beat up all the dudes, but the guy can't retaliate. And I told him how to explain to him, it's like, well, WWE has certain reasoning for that because marketing wise, they televise their product throughout the globe. And if I remember correctly, it was Canada who had an issue to where a man and a woman were fighting against each other. So, and they felt like, okay, we can't do this anymore. So that's why now when they do have these intergender matches, it's like the women face the women and the men face the men, even though it's kind of like, okay, but I've seen intergender matches. I've seen a man versus a woman, and it's amazing. I rose recently, Athena, the forever ROH champion, going against Swerve Strickland, and she almost won several times, and it was interesting. But in that type of aspect, it's like they know each other, they understand the dynamic of this situation, compared to something to where, like you said, something where you're massaging someone or better yet training someone and stuff like that, and you're going into locker rooms and things of that nature. I think maybe the respect boundaries have gone out the window now, because if it was like, oh, you're open, you can come in, since women have been allowed to come into the locker room and ask questions and stuff like that. Case in point, I'll give you some realism. I used to do a basketball show with Christina Winter Scott, and she's a former Maryland player. Now she's the host of the Wizards pregame shows. And we used to do a thing called the Brown Ball Report in the area, and we went to the Mystics game. Post game, she wanted to get some interviews for some of the Mystics players. We go in the back locker room, and I'm the camera guy, and I'm like, she just dolts right into the locker room like it was nothing. But I stayed back.
Yep.
It's like, I know full well, it's like, if I walk in here seeing some TNA, I'm in trouble.
Right.
So
for sure.
She comes out with like 5 seconds seeing the fact that I wasn't behind her, and it's like, and she literally told me, it's like, oh, you were smart to stay behind. And it's like, yeah, because I want to be
who's dressed, who's not dressed. Yeah.
Correct.
And there were times, like when women were early allowed to come into the locker room, guys were walking around nude, had their towels half off and all stuff. And mind you, they didn't care. It's like, they treated like it was nothing.
And that's the unfortunate, but fortunate double standard.
But it led into certain things, and it led a lot of allegations about like being abused and stuff like that, because there were a lot of conversations about that. It's like, that's why most of the press conferences now are in another room. They don't allow them to go back in the locker rooms anymore because of those situations. They want to avoid them. It took them long enough, but still. But I feel like now, there's still more, like you said, there still need to be done. But what is a good starting point that needs to be done with, especially when it comes to the interactions of a male and female athlete, or male and female reporter meeting a female or male athlete?
Let me comment on your prior scenario. So I felt one way about that when prior to Trump making it a law. I felt the way about like, oh no. And I saw the statistics. They're very low.
Yeah.
They're very low. It's probably one trans person, because it's like .something percent or 1.something% of transgender people blending with, in their opposite gender role. So when I saw that, I don't agree with it, but then I agree with it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so low, and I feel like, and there is, here and again, there is a female that will outclass a natural male, that will outbox, that will run, that will out something. So the chances are there. Now, if you make it through this crack before all this stuff cracked down, nice. Moving forward, because it had garnered so much attention, and I think it created an arena where more people wanted to get in, only because it was a thing. I feel like the rule may be necessary. But it was such a small percentage. I didn't see anyone getting hurt. I didn't see and it bordered on you're picking this, you're making me look at this. What am I missing? So I hope you can catch my point and all that. Hope you can.
I can, based on what I think you're asking, is I understand the fact that it's true. Trans players, I'm going to say that trans players, there is a far smaller number than a lot of people, but I think due to the fact like their exposure is huge. Meaning, in fact, it's like we had a trans, we had a trans swimmer in a college meet, and she ends up winning all these gold, meets and stuff like that. And all the girls are upset. It's like, okay, I get it, but it's just like, okay, we figure, so why ain't staying, like you said, stay in their lane.
Yeah.
I kind of, when it comes to something like that, let's say, if they're in swimming, track, the non-combative sports, let's put it that way. I feel like that will be okay. I feel like that can be a good feature because normally it is. When it comes to combat sports, unless it's not, if something that is not wrestling, professional wrestling, that have an issue because it's kind of like unless she's fully aware and capable of dealing with someone of the trans sex. I think that, mind you, we see on television women fighting men in some kung fu movie or whatever, and the women could be on top and all that stuff is understandable. But this is something where, that's choreographed compared to something where it's like, this is like a blood sport type of situation. And usually it's like, unless you are mentally prepared to know that you're maybe facing a woman, but really you're facing a dude. It's kind of like you have to think differently, and I think that it is a psychological difference. So I just feel like I said, if you pull them out of combat sports, I think that's the betterment. So everything could be properly process or progressive. So do you have thoughts? I can see yes you do.
Okay, we talked about this on one of our shows way back in the day, right? So I'm an all or nothing kind of person. I hear what you're saying about let's pick and choose, and all or nothing. And for me, these are my own opinions and thoughts, not those of the show, because I got so much hate for this. I am LGBTQIA plus friendly. Let me throw that out there.
Yes, we are.
But I do not believe you should mix genders in sports. I don't care what you identify, how you live your life, what body parts you do or do not have anymore. If you were born a man, then you need to do men's sports. You can show up in a dress all you want, but then get on that field and you perform like a dude. Because when you get in a ring with a woman, you're going to perform like a dude. You're not going to hold back because you're fighting a woman. And my case in point, and for me, again, we talked about this and I got heated when we talked about it before. 2014, there was a fighter, and I remember this like it was yesterday. Fallon Fox, who fractured a woman's skull.
Yes, that's Fallon what Fox was. Yeah.
She, and I will respect and definitely say she is a transgender boxer, but you fractured a woman's skull because you got in there, you fought her like you were a dude. That is completely unfair.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care, again, what you testosterone versus estrogen and what you take. I don't care. Your body mass is different. Your build is different. Psychologically, you are different. And even if we look out here into the world, and I've seen women fight dudes. At the end of the day, you are still a little bit at a disadvantage because he is just built different.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I am not a fan of any transgender doing any other sport other than the one that you were born for the gender that you were born in. I mean, even this goes into bathrooms. Like, I am here for everybody to live their life. However, you were born a man, and I don't care if your male parts are even gone. You're still born a man. You go into the men's bathroom. You can walk in there with a dress on. You just need to go into that bathroom. Mm-hmm. So I think, and this is a global universal issue of so many other things, but there has to be a hard line. Everybody can't belong. I'm sorry. Like, there has to be lines drawn. Yes, you can live your life how you will, but there has got to be some fundamental lines drawn to protect everybody. So no one's trying to discriminate against that person for wanting to do this, but I just think that there's just got to be some hard lines drawn. That's my juice.
To say that because I was just speaking about a similar thing earlier, and my statement was fair ain't fair. And there are things, and I think I was speaking in context of like the government, things that are going on with the government, things that are going on with the DEI and people being let go and the forest fires and all this stuff. There are things that are in small print that you sign up for. Correct?
Yep.
When you sign up as a male for male sports and you choose to transition and live as, in that small print, you signed up for this. You signed up for it. That's where I think that everything that the orange pill, as he refers to him as, everything that he does and says is not always wrong. They're stand on what you stand on. And the Democrats, and I don't want to change it with this political talk, but the Democrats were very crafty at making sure that everyone felt comfortable, which is absolute BS. We're in a mess because of it now. So I'm gonna, if I sounded like something earlier, what you said is the truth. I agree with that. And I was speaking on that earlier. We try to be so inclusive. But at the end of the day, when you try to include everyone and care, someone always gets hurt. And physically, it has been those people who were born female, that whether it be their pride hurt or their physical bodies were hurt by a man. So I agree with that.
Let me ask you this question. Okay. You remember the movie Unnecessary Roughness?
No.
With
I remember the title. I don't think I remember the movie.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the most notable character was Kathy Ireland. She's a model. Mm-hmm. And her character, she ends up becoming, she was a kicker for the team. And that kind of sparked some other female kickers, to play football. And then we get to the fact it's like, okay, if you remember Little Giants, one of the top players on the team was a girl.
Yeah.
So my question leading to this is do you feel like if women want to do the aggressive sports like football, mind you, there's, we have now, we do have a couple of female football leagues, but if they want to try to get in the NFL, they can't. But do you feel like the only way they can get there is being a coach now, or better yet, being a trainer and stuff like? But as a player, if that's their heart desire, would you be happy for that? Let's say, I know your children are grown and what have you, but if you had a daughter who was, willing to say, hey, I want to try to get into the NFL, will you allow them to do it?
No.
My heart's desire is to own a Maserati, a Lamborghini, live in a gated community, ... I'm done, right? You got that right?
Oh, I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay.
So for me, the answer is no. Because like she said, fair ain't fair. Everything's not for everybody. And you said it yourself. Now here's where we get into another problem, because you hit another nerve of mine. So yes, we have a female football league that is a full-on tackle league.
Full on.
So NFL is for men. You have this for women. You go play over there with the other women, because the second a female goes out for the NFL, they put her on a team just to save face, and she gets hurt. Now everybody's in an uproar when unfortunately she shouldn't have been there to begin with.
But okay, a lot of players get hurt.
I mean, agree, because she's a woman that's going to be the issue.
There's a difference in being hit by a woman and being hit by a Mack truck. These men on the field who train for this and are bulky, and by nature, their bodies are built for this. These people get hurt every day by getting hit. These people have CTE. These people have heart attacks and die on the field. People have all these things happening. We are not built for that. Absolutely no.
Right. And here's the thing, and I'm not saying, and I agree, we're not built for that. And I'm not saying women are any lesser, because I am all about women in power, right?
Yes,
but that's not your lane. Now, what I do disagree with is the fact that we have a women's football league and they got to wear itty bitty booty shorts instead of regular clothes like the men do. And this is why some women don't want to go play over there, because they don't want to be half naked on a damn field. So if we're going to do this, let's put them in actual football gear like they do for the men. Let's respect the fact that we clothe these women and let them play properly in proper attire like we do for the men. That's my problem with that.
I want to put it. There is a league. There is an actual tackle football league, lingerie football league, like we properly seen. There is an actual legit tackle football league. It's been highly successful for over a decade.
I was going to say, because I would argue the booty short wearers. They signed up for that.
No. They are fully head to toe and football gear. So
I think the booty short girls, I think that was their idea.
Divas. Yeah, looking for the DC Divas.
Absolutely. The booty shorts probably was their idea. Like, come on, it's a click. That's
a man's thing.
It's a click in like time that we're in now.
I saw the DC Divas scantily clad or something.
No, they're padded.
Look them up. Trust and believe. Look them up. They're really good.
Okay. Well, listen, I will take back all of my ranting and raving then.
So I'm familiar with the other league you're talking about. So anyway. All right. So that was I kind of wanted that heated debate about women in sports, because I feel like it's usually not fully talked about a lot. So I thank you for that as fans of it. So we're gonna wrap up the show. Like, I feel this is like a good segment. I wrap up the show with a nice little fun, topic cleanser question here. So again, I go to my Instagram page, like you see where the graphic is right now. You'll see where No Filters is, and I spot this nice little question, because they're finally the rumblings of new teams and new cities is maybe coming up. So, and NBC Sports posted this. They had these 3 particular questions. Build your own expansion team. One is pick your city. Second question is choose your league. And then third is your team's name or nickname. So with NBC, they had the choose your city of Seattle, St. Louis, Nashville, or other. The leagues, of course, Major League Baseball, hockey, NBA, NFL, National Women's Soccer League, MLS, WNBA, or other. And of course, the nickname. So, Ms. True, how build your expansion team? You are building an expansion team. Where would you like to have your expansion team at?
Because I'm a hometown girl, right? Though I live in Maryland, I'm a Jersey girl. I would love to see something else amazing come out of Paterson, New Jersey, which is where I'm from. We've had a lot of big name people come out, like Hurricane, the boxer. He came from Paterson, and there's a lot of other people that I should know, but I don't. But I know he was one of the big, because they shot the movie there. So I would do an expansion team from my home city. It would be football. I would probably throw a little bit of a twist to that. I would actually try to get some players that may not have made it to the NFL, but they were, just as good, and try to do a more of a community building part of that, bringing some people from the community into and on that team, putting people in that live in that community in key positions to help organize and run the team. Oh, and I'm doing football, of course. I'm a football girl. I'm doing football.
So what'll be
thank you for that.
So what'll be the team name? What'll be the team name?
Oh hell. No clue. Oh, no. I have no clue.
Okay.
I would probably get someone else to name the team. I'm not good at that. So
have a fan vote. See how it progresses.
Because I like community. Yes. We would put it out there to the city of Patterson and have them vote.
Nice.
Miss Kiki, what's your expansion team?
Well, please reserve your jokes for another time. But I'm from Flint, Michigan. Just please reserve your jokes. I would, because Clarissa Shields is from there, and it's on highlight, it's on repeat now because she's great and she's grand, and a movie was made, and right now we're getting a lot of positive reinforcement and positive reviews for that city. I would have an NFL team there. It would be the Flint Flames. It would be. I want them to win in the worst way. Like it is sketchy there. It is small town, but I definitely would want them to win with that. I don't believe, like Detroit right now, Gold Pistons, they doing what they do. So I would never have an NBA team try to rival that because they're doing a great enough job where they are. But it would be the Flint Flames.
Okay.
I love that. See, I'm not that good.
Thank you.
I'm not that good.
All right. I will end this like this. I'll give you 3 teams in 3 different leagues, but in one city.
Okay.
The leagues will be MLS.
Okay.
It will be NBA and WNBA. Or actually, let me correct that. NBA and AAHL, American Hockey League. And the city, of course, is Baltimore. I want for Baltimore to get, besides having the Ravens and the Orioles, they need more. They need more there happening, in that city, especially during the wait between, and DC, as much as everyone really doesn't want to keep going to downtown DC to see the Wizards and wait for the Capitals to come out of nowhere. And there's a lot more to do in the Baltimore Arena now, or whatever name it's known now. And I feel like it's like they could do some more things there. In addition to, M&T Bank Stadium, they can do more things there. So I figured like having a soccer team, an MLS soccer team there is a great thing. They've had success with the European Premier League coming by, and they fill that up big time. And having their own team, kind of like DC United, it could work. And of course, I figured the team name will be just Baltimore FC. So, and I feel like that'll be cool.
I like that.
As for the basketball team, I felt like doing the NBA again, getting them back into the NBA because again, the Wizard piece of shit right now. And I think that I just feel like they need to bring back some old school basketball, and I and again, the arena is only hosting to nothing pretty much except concerts. So if you bring back, I feel like a good name is the Baltimore Brigade. Is a good name. It kind of represents the area a little bit. It used to be the name for the Arena League team that they had there. So the Baltimore Brigade will work. And for the AHL, meaning the American Hockey League team, there used to be known as the Baltimore Skipjacks. And they were the team the Capitals, the Baltimore Skipjacks. The Skipjacks, not a lot of people know it's an actual ship. So, and it's a well-known ship in pretty much that comes through during the colonial times through the Baltimore Harbor. So And I felt like, I want to see that name again. And sadly, it dissolved or got moved because whatever, how the, leagues do things. But seeing the Baltimore Skipjacks again would be great. So those are the 3 teams in Baltimore. More money into the city will be helpful. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, ladies, I thank you for your time. I know we kind of started off late and all that stuff and a lot of drama, but anyway, you stayed up. You got fed, got fed some knowledge, and we're celebrating women in everything. So hey, all is good and good. But Ms. True, where can people follow you and find you, and what are programs that you're doing as we speak?
Sure. I am on Instagram at true_creative_consulting, as well as Power Players Media, as well as MBE_fest. I am a woman of many hats, so there's a lot.
Yes. And Miss Kiki, as the dogs are barking.
You can find me on Instagram at the Webslinger, DAWEBSLINGA. You can find me on all platforms underneath that name, except for Facebook. I'm Kiki Grant. Real Talk Uncensored. We are on hiatus right now. There are good things happening. I will speak to you about that shortly, white man. But there are good things happening, and it looks like we may be back on in a minute.
Okay. Yes, in a minute. Well, maybe
in a minute.
Times whatever. But anyway,
we'll keep you posted to be determined, but I will keep everybody posted. But it looks like in a minute. It looks good. It looks great.
All right, cool. All right. Well, again, you see my thing. It's pretty lengthy, and a lot of people have issues me trying to put it out there. So just read. Okay. That's all I can say. But anyway, thank you again, Ms. True. Thank you, Kiki. And I am Brian 3SL. We will see you next time here on No Filter Sports. Have a whatever day.
Bye. Yes.